The minimum distance between the ceiling and a suspended ceiling when you are not installing sprinklers or fire alarm detectors is typically 2 feet, which is approximately 0.6 meters. This spacing serves several important purposes. Firstly, it allows for adequate airflow within the space above the suspended ceiling. Proper airflow is essential to prevent the buildup of stagnant air, which can contribute to moisture problems, mold growth, and poor air quality. Secondly, the 2-foot clearance provides sufficient space for maintenance and repairs to be carried out on the ceiling structure or any utilities that may be located above the suspended ceiling. This accessibility is crucial for ensuring that any necessary work can be performed safely and efficiently. Thirdly, it also provides adequate space for any future installations or modifications that may be required. You should take note that code requirements can vary significantly depending on the specific jurisdiction in which you are working. Local building codes and fire safety regulations often have specific requirements for ceiling heights, sprinkler systems, and fire detection systems. It is always recommended to consult with local building officials or the National Fire Protection Association, often referred to as NFPA, to ensure that you are fully compliant with all applicable regulations. Compliance with these codes is essential for ensuring the safety of the building occupants and for avoiding any potential legal issues. For example, NFPA 13 is a widely adopted standard for the installation of sprinkler systems. It provides detailed guidelines on the design, installation, and maintenance of sprinkler systems, including requirements for ceiling heights and clearances. Similarly, NFPA 72 addresses the application, installation, location, performance, inspection, testing, and maintenance of fire alarm systems. This includes detectors and notification appliances. In some jurisdictions, local building codes may incorporate or reference these NFPA standards. While the 2-foot clearance is a common guideline, there may be situations where a different distance is required. This could be due to specific requirements of the building's occupancy, the presence of unique structural features, or other factors. Therefore, it is always best to verify the specific requirements with the local authorities before commencing any construction or installation work. There are also situations when one might consider installing a suspended ceiling even when sprinklers aren't required above it. Suspended ceilings offer several benefits, including improved aesthetics, noise reduction, and the ability to conceal wiring, ductwork, and other utilities. They can also improve energy efficiency by reducing the volume of space that needs to be heated or cooled. When choosing the height of a suspended ceiling, it's important to consider the overall appearance of the room and the desired ceiling height. A low suspended ceiling can make a room feel more intimate, while a higher ceiling can create a more spacious feel. The height of the suspended ceiling should also be coordinated with the placement of lighting fixtures, air diffusers, and other ceiling-mounted equipment. The type of ceiling material used can also affect the overall look and feel of the room. There are many different types of ceiling tiles available, ranging from basic mineral fiber tiles to more decorative options. When selecting ceiling tiles, it's important to consider the acoustics of the room and the desired level of sound absorption. Some ceiling tiles are designed to absorb sound, while others are designed to reflect it. The choice of ceiling tile should be based on the specific needs of the space. The installation of a suspended ceiling is typically a straightforward process, but it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The first step is to install the suspension grid, which consists of a network of metal channels that are hung from the existing ceiling. The ceiling tiles are then placed into the grid. It's important to ensure that the grid is level and that the tiles are properly aligned. If the installation is not done correctly, the suspended ceiling may not look its best, and it may not perform as intended. In summary, a 2-foot clearance between the ceiling and suspended ceiling is a general guideline that may vary depending on local codes and specific circumstances. Always consult with local authorities and relevant standards like NFPA 13 and NFPA 72 to ensure compliance. Consider the benefits of suspended ceilings, such as aesthetics and utility concealment, and carefully plan the height and materials used for optimal results. Proper installation is crucial for both appearance and performance. When dealing with electrical wiring above suspended ceilings, there are specific National Electrical Code, or NEC, requirements that must be followed to ensure safety and prevent fire hazards. Article 300.11 of the NEC addresses securing and supporting wiring and cables. It states that wiring methods shall be supported so that the wiring will not be damaged by normal building construction. This means that cables running above a suspended ceiling must be properly supported and secured to the building structure. Cables should not be allowed to lay directly on the ceiling tiles or suspension grid. Article 300.4 D of the NEC addresses protection against physical damage. It states that where cables pass through metal framing members, they shall be protected by bushings or grommets. This prevents the sharp edges of the metal framing from damaging the cable insulation, which could lead to a short circuit or fire. Article 330.30 of the NEC addresses securing and supporting Type AC cable, also known as armored cable. It states that AC cable shall be secured within 12 inches of every box, cabinet, or fitting and shall be supported at intervals not exceeding 1/2 feet. This ensures that the cable is properly supported and will not sag or become damaged. Article 334.30 of the NEC addresses securing and supporting Type NM cable, also known as non-metallic sheath cable. It states that NM cable shall be secured within 12 inches of every box, cabinet, or fitting and shall be supported at intervals not exceeding 1/2 feet. Similar to AC cable, this requirement ensures that NM cable is properly supported and protected. Article 392 addresses cable trays. Cable trays are often used to support large numbers of cables above suspended ceilings. The NEC specifies the requirements for the installation and use of cable trays, including the types of cables that are permitted to be installed in them. In addition to these specific NEC requirements, there are also general safety precautions that should be followed when working with electrical wiring above suspended ceilings. Always turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical wiring. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. Inspect the wiring for any signs of damage or wear before working on it. If you are not qualified to work on electrical wiring, hire a licensed electrician. When planning the layout of electrical wiring above a suspended ceiling, it's important to consider the accessibility of the wiring for future maintenance and repairs. Wires should be routed in a way that allows them to be easily accessed and inspected. Junction boxes and other electrical components should be located in accessible locations. The color coding of electrical wiring is also important for safety and identification. The NEC specifies the color code for electrical wiring, which should be followed consistently throughout the building. For example, the grounded conductor, often called the neutral, should be white or grey, and the equipment grounding conductor should be green or bare. In the context of fire safety, it's crucial to understand the role of fire-rated cables. Fire-rated cables are designed to maintain their circuit integrity for a specified period of time during a fire. This allows critical systems, such as fire alarms and emergency lighting, to continue functioning even in a fire situation. Fire-rated cables are typically used in high-rise buildings, hospitals, and other critical facilities. The NEC requires the use of fire-rated cables in certain applications, such as for fire alarm circuits and emergency lighting circuits. The type of fire-rated cable required will depend on the specific application and the local building codes. Fire stopping is another important aspect of fire safety in buildings. Fire stopping is the process of sealing openings in walls and floors to prevent the spread of fire and smoke. The NEC requires fire stopping to be installed where electrical wiring penetrates fire-rated walls and floors. The fire stopping material must be approved for use in electrical applications and must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. In summary, when working with electrical wiring above suspended ceilings, it's essential to follow all applicable NEC requirements and safety precautions. Ensure that cables are properly supported and protected, and that wiring is accessible for future maintenance. Use fire-rated cables and fire stopping where required, and always prioritize safety when working with electrical systems. In addition to electrical considerations, mechanical systems such as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, often referred to as 8-track, also play a role in the space above a suspended ceiling. Ductwork, piping, and other mechanical components may be located in this area, and it's important to ensure that these systems are installed and maintained properly. The International Mechanical Code, or IMC, provides guidance on the design, installation, and maintenance of mechanical systems. The IMC addresses issues such as ductwork sizing, insulation, and fire dampers. It's important to follow the IMC requirements when installing and maintaining mechanical systems above suspended ceilings. One important consideration is the clearance around mechanical equipment. The IMC specifies the minimum clearances required around equipment such as furnaces, air handlers, and chillers. These clearances are necessary for proper ventilation, maintenance, and fire safety. It's important to ensure that these clearances are maintained when installing equipment above a suspended ceiling. Another consideration is the support of mechanical equipment. Mechanical equipment can be heavy, and it's important to ensure that it's properly supported. The IMC specifies the requirements for the support of mechanical equipment, including the use of hangers, brackets, and other support devices. It's important to follow these requirements to prevent the equipment from falling or causing damage. Ductwork is another important component of mechanical system. Ductwork is used to distribute air throughout the building. The IMC specifies the requirements for ductwork installation, including the type of materials that can be used, the size of the ductwork, and the insulation requirements. It's important to follow these requirements to ensure that the ductwork is properly installed and that it functions efficiently. Fire dampers are another important safety feature in mechanical systems. Fire dampers are devices that are installed in ductwork to prevent the spread of fire and smoke. The IMC requires fire dampers to be installed in certain locations, such as where ductwork penetrates fire-rated walls. It's important to ensure that fire dampers are properly installed and maintained to ensure that they function correctly in the event of a fire. In summary, when working with mechanical systems above suspended ceilings, it's essential to follow all applicable IMC requirements. Ensure that the equipment is properly supported and has adequate clearance, and that ductwork is properly installed and insulated. Use fire dampers where required, and always prioritize safety when working with mechanical systems. In addition to the NEC and IMC, there may be other codes and standards that apply to the space above a suspended ceiling. For example, the International Building Code, or IBC, addresses structural requirements, fire safety, and accessibility. The Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, addresses accessibility requirements for people with disabilities. It's important to be aware of these other codes and standards and to ensure that your work complies with them. The local building department is a valuable resource for information on applicable codes and standards. The building department can provide information on local requirements and can answer questions about code compliance. It's always a good idea to consult with the building department before starting any construction or renovation work. A building permit may be required for certain types of work. The building department can advise you on whether a permit is required and can provide information on the permit application process. It's important to obtain all necessary permits before starting work to avoid potential fines or delays. Inspections are typically required after certain phases of construction. The building department will conduct inspections to ensure that the work complies with the applicable codes and standards. It's important to schedule inspections in a timely manner to avoid delays in the project. In summary, when working on any project, especially above suspended ceilings, it is critical to consult with the local authorities and all applicable codes and standards, including the NEC, IMC, IC, and ADA. The building department is a valuable resource for information and can help you ensure that your work complies with all requirements. Always obtain necessary permits and schedule inspections to avoid potential problems. Let's talk about the importance of proper lighting above suspended ceilings. While the primary lighting for a room comes from fixtures installed below the suspended ceiling, the area above can benefit from strategic lighting for maintenance, safety, and even aesthetic purposes. Firstly, consider utility lighting. Even if the area above the suspended ceiling isn't regularly occupied, utility lighting is crucial for maintenance personnel and inspectors. This lighting should be bright enough to allow for safe and efficient work on electrical, mechanical, and plumbing systems. Secondly, emergency lighting is also essential. Emergency lighting should automatically activate in the event of a power outage. This ensures that personnel can safely navigate the space and exit the building if necessary. Thirdly, consider task lighting. If there are specific areas above the suspended ceiling that require frequent maintenance or inspection, consider installing task lighting in those areas. This provides focused illumination for specific tasks, making the work easier and safer. Consider lighting controls. Lighting controls, such as occupancy sensors and dimmers, can help to conserve energy and reduce lighting costs. Occupancy sensors automatically turn the lights on when someone enters the space and turn them off when they leave. Dimmers allow you to adjust the brightness of the lights to suit the needs of the task. When selecting lighting fixtures for the area above a suspended ceiling, it's important to consider the following factors. Firstly, consider the type of fixture. There are many different types of lighting fixtures available, including fluorescent, LED, and incandescent. LED fixtures are generally the most energy efficient and have the longest lifespan. Secondly, consider the light output. The light output of a fixture is measured in lumens. Choose fixtures with a light output that is appropriate for the size of the space and the tasks that will be performed there. Thirdly, consider the color temperature. The color temperature of a light source is measured in Kelvin. Choose fixtures with a color temperature that is appropriate for the task. For example, cool white light is often preferred for task lighting, while warm white light is often preferred for general illumination. The NEC has specific requirements for the installation of lighting fixtures. These requirements address issues such as the support of the fixtures, the wiring of the fixtures, and the grounding of the fixtures. It's important to follow these requirements to ensure that the lighting fixtures are installed safely and correctly. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may also be local building codes that apply to the installation of lighting fixtures. Check with your local building department to determine the specific requirements in your area. In summary, proper lighting above suspended ceilings is important for maintenance, safety, and even aesthetic purposes. Consider utility lighting, emergency lighting, task lighting, and lighting controls. Choose lighting fixtures that are appropriate for the space and the tasks that will be performed there. Follow all applicable NEC requirements and local building codes. When planning a suspended ceiling project, you might encounter various challenges related to existing conditions, design constraints, and code compliance. Addressing these challenges proactively is key to a successful outcome. Existing conditions are always important. Before starting any work, thoroughly assess the existing conditions of the ceiling and the space above. Identify any obstructions such as ductwork, piping, or electrical wiring. Note the height of the existing ceiling and any irregularities in the surface. Secondly, consider design constraints. Design constraints can limit your options for suspended ceiling height and layout. For example, low ceilings may restrict the amount of space available for suspension grid and lighting fixtures. Existing structural elements may also limit the placement of ceiling tiles. Thirdly, code compliance can be a challenge. Building codes and regulations can be complex and vary depending on the jurisdiction. Ensure that you are familiar with all applicable codes and regulations before starting work. Pay particular attention to fire safety requirements, such as the use of fire-rated materials and the installation of fire dampers. When dealing with obstructions, carefully plan the layout of the suspended ceiling to avoid or minimize conflicts. Consider rerouting or relocating obstructions if possible. If obstructions cannot be avoided, design the suspended ceiling to accommodate them. This may involve using custom-cut ceiling tiles or installing access panels for maintenance. To address design constraints, explore different suspended ceiling options that may be better suited to the space. Consider using a shallow suspension grid to maximize ceiling height. Choose ceiling tiles that are lightweight and easy to install. If necessary, consult with a structural engineer to determine the best way to support the suspended ceiling. To ensure code compliance, work closely with your local building department and fire marshal. Submit your plans for review and obtain all necessary permits before starting work. Use only approved materials and follow all installation instructions carefully. Schedule inspections at each stage of the project to ensure that the work is in compliance with the codes. In addition to these specific challenges, there are also general considerations that should be taken into account when planning a suspended ceiling project. Firstly, consider the budget. The cost of a suspended ceiling project can vary depending on the size of the space, the type of materials used, and the complexity of the installation. Develop a detailed budget and stick to it as closely as possible. Secondly, consider the schedule. Suspended ceiling projects can take anywhere from a few days to several weeks to complete, depending on the size and complexity of the project. Develop a realistic schedule and stick to it as closely as possible. Thirdly, consider safety. Safety is always a top priority on any construction project. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses, gloves, and a hard hat. Follow all safety procedures and guidelines. In summary, planning a suspended ceiling project requires careful consideration of existing conditions, design constraints, and code compliance. Address these challenges proactively to ensure a successful outcome. Develop a detailed budget and schedule, and always prioritize safety. When it comes to the maintenance and inspection of the space above a suspended ceiling, regular attention can prevent problems and ensure safety. Establishing a routine maintenance schedule and conducting thorough inspections are essential. Let's talk about establishing a maintenance schedule. Develop a schedule that includes regular inspections of the space above the suspended ceiling. The frequency of inspections will depend on the type of building, the environment, and the types of systems installed above the ceiling. For example, a building with a high occupancy rate or a building in a humid climate may require more frequent inspections. Secondly, include cleaning of the space above the suspended ceiling in the maintenance schedule. Dust and debris can accumulate over time and create a fire hazard. Cleaning should be performed on a regular basis, using appropriate cleaning methods and equipment. Thirdly, include inspection and maintenance of electrical, mechanical, and plumbing systems in the maintenance schedule. These systems should be inspected for leaks, damage, and other problems. Maintenance should be performed as needed to ensure that the systems are functioning properly and safely. When conducting inspections, use a checklist to ensure that all areas of the space are inspected. The checklist should include items such as the condition of the ceiling tiles, the condition of the suspension grid, the presence of any leaks or water damage, the condition of electrical wiring and equipment, the condition of mechanical equipment, and the presence of any fire hazards. Secondly, look for signs of water damage such as stains, mold, or mildew. Water damage can indicate a leak in the roof or plumbing system. If water damage is found, the source of the leak should be identified and repaired as soon as possible. Thirdly, look for signs of electrical problems such as frayed wires, loose connections, or overheated equipment. Electrical problems can create a fire hazard. If electrical problems are found, they should be repaired by a qualified electrician. Fourthly, look for signs of mechanical problems such as leaks, unusual noises, or vibrations. Mechanical problems can indicate a problem with the heating, ventilation, or air conditioning system. If mechanical problems are found, they should be repaired by a qualified technician. Fifthly, look for signs of fire hazards, such as combustible materials stored near electrical equipment or open flames. Fire hazards should be eliminated immediately. Documentation of maintenance and inspections is important. Keep records of all maintenance and inspections performed on the space above the suspended ceiling. These records should include the date of the maintenance or inspection, the name of the person who performed the work, a description of the work performed, and any findings or recommendations. In summary, regular maintenance and inspections are essential for preventing problems and ensuring safety in the space above a suspended ceiling. Establish a routine maintenance schedule, conduct thorough inspections, and document all maintenance and inspections performed.